So I hope I answered some of your questions. All right. Okay. So all right. Okay. Let's start. Okay. So this is what I will be covering for today. Okay. Now before we start, just a bit of house rule as usual. I will leave the Q&A at the end, at the last 15 or 10 minutes. Okay, so if you have any question, please write it down on a piece of paper. I hope all of you have your writing materials and your blank piece of paper with you. So if you have any kind of questions, later on, I will show some questions, and all of you can interact and you can participate by writing on a piece of paper as well as typing your answers in the chat function. Okay, can all of you do that? Make sure you have your writing materials as well as some pieces of blank papers so that you can answer. Okay, and as usual, as I'm teaching you, okay, please refrain from chatting with one another, okay, because we need to focus as much as possible. All right, and everybody, I hope everybody will cooperate, and so that we can benefit from this lesson. Okay, class. All right, let's start. Okay, so in today's lesson, I'll be covering the P3 to P5 topics. All right, so these are the coverage. Heat, I'll be covering the topic of heat, light and shadow. Okay, now heat and light and shadow, they are P4 topics, right? But they are very common in the PSLE. Okay, materials and electricity, P3 and P5, right? Materials you all learn in primary 3, and P5 electricity. I'll be covering topic on water, the human transport system, more specifically the circulatory system. Okay, plant reproduction on germination, and I will be covering also a little bit about how to answer experiment question and application question. Okay, would that be okay for everybody? All right. Okay, let's start. Okay, I would like to just share with you. Okay, for my P6 students, all right. If you notice, in the science exams, there will not be many direct or straightforward recall questions. Okay, most of the questions are what we call process skills type. You need to understand the question and you need to use your analytical skills, process skills to solve the question. Okay, and by having said that, there are some of you who are not able to recall some facts. Okay, some facts and some concepts that you need to know. So what do I mean by scientific concepts? Scientific concepts are what is in each of the topic from P3 to P6. Okay, I give you an example. Let's say under the topic of heat, right? One of the concepts in your syllabus is you must understand the concept of heat transfer. How does heat transfer? Okay, and secondly, another example, the concept of the topic of light. Topic of light, you need to know what are the concepts in the topic of light, right? Like light travels in a straight line. Okay, shadow is formed when light is blocked. Likewise, the topic of water, right? You need to know the concept of what is condensation, evaporation, melting, boiling. Okay, human transport system, you need to know what are the organs in the human circulatory system and respiratory system. Okay, so these are scientific concepts, and I know some students, you still have difficulty recalling the facts, right? Especially that you need to know, you need to, under time condition, within that 1 hour and 45 minutes, you need to answer. Okay, so that's why for those of you in my P5 and P6 student, I hope you all have been using these two books that we have prepared for you. Okay, have you all been reading these two books? Everyone? Yes, all of you should have a copy, right? As long as you are in our science program, you should have a copy. Okay, so these two books, the green color is the lower block and the yellow color is the upper block. So this consists of, we have compiled for you, myself and our team of science tutors, we have compiled for you, and these concepts are exactly in the latest syllabus. Okay, nothing more and nothing less. All right. So if you still have difficulty recalling and remembering facts, please read and remember. All right. And I also have some pages where you need to draw a mind map, because a mind map can help you recall and connect the facts, concepts more easily. Okay, but for those of you who are consistently scoring A's and A star, okay, recalling facts, I think not so much of a problem. If you are still scoring D, C, and B, I think some topics you may still have problems understanding and remembering the facts. Okay, so you need to, that's the first thing that you need to do, is you need to recall, you need to remember all the concepts from P3 to P6. It's quite a lot. I mean, in the exams, you have so many other subjects to learn. At the same time, you need to remember all the topics that you have learned from P3 to P6. Okay, the easiest way that I usually teach the students is by drawing or creating mind maps, right? So that you can remember and recall better. Because mind map shows the information in a graphical manner, using of colors, using arrows, then you can remember better. Okay. Now, having said that, even if you have remembered all the concepts, you have remembered all the topic, all the concepts by heart, okay, at your fingertips, you may still not be able to pass PSLE science. Now, why do I say that? Because if you look at your science exam question, there are hardly any question which involve pure direct recall. Maybe one or two questions, yes, but the rest of the question are not merely recall, but rather application of the facts, or you must be able to analyze data, analyze graph. You must be able to apply the concepts to the situation given to you. Okay, but having said that, the concepts you still have to remember, you still have to memorize, but you need to go beyond just remembering the facts. Okay, so for those students who are still scoring C and B, okay, so make sure that you remember, you go back and write notes and recall back. Okay, these are the books that should be your resource. Okay, all right. Making my map, Shami. Okay, very good. You're making my maps. All right, very good. Okay, any question before I start the questions? Any question? No, huh? All right. Now let's start with the very first question. Now the questions here are all past PSLE questions. Okay, so that you have an idea of the kind of standards expected of in the PSLE. For the P5 students, don't worry. Okay, the PSLE question will be similar to the P5 exam question. All right, your teacher will test you the standard of question at P5 will be at same level as P6 and the PSLE. Okay, so it's good that you are prepared as early as possible. All right. Okay, let's take a look at the first question. So I give you 3 minutes to look through at the question. Okay, and the question here: which graph P and or Q represent the temperature change in continent A? Explain. All right. So those of you who knows how to answer, all right, you can type in the chat function here. Okay. Yes, you can zoom in. Can you all see? Should be able to see, right? Big enough? Okay, so the diagram below shows a lamp placed at the same distance from two identical glass containers A and B. Container A is left open while container B is covered with a clear plastic sheet. Now this is an experiment question. Okay, when you see any experiment question, the first thing you try to figure out is to determine what is the change variable. Okay, now sometimes they'll tell you the aim of the experiment, but sometimes it's not clearly given in the experiment. Okay, so in this question you can see very clearly that the clear plastic sheet, this is the change variable. In container B, there is a presence of clear plastic sheet, but in container A, there is no clear plastic sheet. Okay. So the question asks, which graph P or Q represents the temperature change in container A? And explain. Remember, when you see the word explain, right, you need to answer using scientific concepts. Okay, if you do not apply or you do not use any scientific concepts, then you will definitely get 0, even though your first part is correct. Okay, can you type in the answer in the chat function? Okay, Danish Amin, you say the answer is P. Okay, I'll wait for a few more answers. Okay, everybody try and participate and write your answer in the chat function here. Okay, Danish say P, Nuha say P. Nuha, is there water inside? Are you sure there is water? Okay, so P seems to be a favorite answer. Oh, somebody wrote Q. You see. Inrajit Q. Okay, Raihan say P as a container can gain heat from the surrounding air. Imran say Q. What about explain? Can you explain? Right? Remember, this is not just choosing P or Q. You need to be able to explain. Even though in science, let me tell you how your teacher marked in school, right? If your answer, the first part, let's say assuming the answer is P, you put P but your explanation is wrong, or you do not explain, there's no half mark, you get 0 marks. Okay, so even though your first part of your answer, you choose your answer correctly, the correct graph, but if you do not explain or you explain wrongly, you get 0 marks. There will not be any half mark in this situation. Okay, so you must be able to explain using scientific concepts. Okay, Nadira say graph P because there's heat from the surrounding and the light bulb. Okay, remember in this question, you are comparing. Okay, this is a comparison question. Okay, there is graph P and graph Q. Right? You must be able to compare the difference between these two graphs. Okay, Mariam say Q as a heat from lamp is trapped in the container causing temperature to increase faster than A. Tristan say A can gain heat from both the bulb and the surrounding air. Okay, seems to be half-half. Half of you say Q as the answer, the other half say P as the answer. Oh, interesting. Ashraf say A will gain heat from the surrounding. Shami say Q as heat from inside container will be able to escape through the opening. Okay, now let's start with the discussion. Is everybody okay? Okay, so it seems that half of you say Q, half of you say P as the answer. All right. Anybody IDK? Don't know. Plastic is a poor conductor. Okay, now remember this is a past PSLE question. All right. Let's analyze. First, the difference. The main difference is there's a presence of clear plastic sheet in this situation here in container B. Here is open. So have you experienced a situation where you are in the car and the engine is off and the window is completely closed? Right? In the hot sun, how do you feel? You feel hot, right? Why do you feel hot? You feel hot because the window is closed, right? So what do? You will try to bring down the window, open the windows, right? So when you open the window, you feel cooler. Correct or not? No, why do you feel cooler? Why do you feel cooler? Because the heat is able to escape, right? Because the heat is able to escape. Okay? So in this particular question here, right, the air in container B gains heat. Likewise, the air in container A also gains heat, right? So heat is gained. The air in both container A and container B gains heat. From where? From the light bulb here, from the lamp. Right? Remember, lamp gives off not only light energy but also heat energy. Okay? So the air here in container B gains it, and container A also gains it. However, the heat here is able to escape very quickly, right? Because it is not covered with plastic sheet compared to in container B, right? Remember, just like in a car, in the hot sun, when if you close all the windows, okay, you feel very hot. Why? Because the heat is trapped. Okay, so from there, what's the answer? Okay, the answer is Q. Yes, who got Q as the answer? Very good. Okay, so importantly is the explanation, right? So let's take a look at the graph. Let's analyze the graph. So this is the temperature. The vertical axis is the temperature, and the horizontal axis is time. So as time increases, you can see that in both graphs, the temperature increases, right? Temperature increases. Why? Because in both situations, the air in the container gains heat. Okay, the air in container B gains heat as well as the air in container A. However, the air in graph P, it gains more heat, right? It gains more heat. So which is the one that gains more heat? Right? Which is container B, right? Which is container B. Okay, so container B will gain more heat. So question is, which graph represent the temperature change in container A? So container A will be Q. Why? Because even though container A and B, both the air inside gains heat, but the heat is gained much faster in container B. Okay, so the heat gain, okay, the air in container A gains heat from the light bulb, but some heat escape. You can see here, okay, the heat here is able to escape through the opening on the top of the container, right? In container B, the heat is trapped, right? The heat is trapped by the clear plastic sheet, and hence the temperature, the increase in temperature is higher. Okay, everybody got that? Danish? Okay, very good. Now let's take a look at part B. Which two variables must be kept the same throughout the experiment? Remember, in an experiment, there can only be one change variable, right? In this instance, the change variable is the presence of the clear plastic sheet. Now, everything else must remain the same. Okay, everything else must remain the same. Okay, and you can see here, there are many answers. One of it, the type of the container must be the same. Secondly, the size of the container. Right, type of container means it can mean that it can be, if one is plastic container, both must be plastic container. Okay, if one is made of say metal, both must be made of metal. All right, so the size of container must also be the same. Distance between the bulb and the containers must also be equal, as well as the type of bulb. Okay, but of course there's only one bulb here, so there's not a problem. Okay, everybody? All right, Ken? Okay, let's move on to the next question. Okay, so this question, past PSLE question on the topic of light and shadow. Okay, let me read for you. Justin walked in a straight line from P to R as shown in figure 1 below. Right, so he's walking from P to R. At Q, he was directly under the lamp. So the distance between P and Q is the same as the distance between Q and R. Now take note, this is very important point here. The distance between P and Q, they are the same. Right? So if this is 10 meters, QR must also be 10 meters. So figure 2 shows the length of Justin's shadow on the ground during his walk. Okay, so they show you a graph. They present the data to you in the form of graph, right? And when you see a graph, you need to be able to analyze the graph. Importantly, you need to identify what are the axes. Now, this is a vertical axis, shows the length of the shadow, and the horizontal axis shows the time. Now, right, this is the cause and this is the effect. So you can see here, as time increases, right, the length of the shadow decreases at first, okay, until this point here, and then after that, the length of the shadow increases, right? You can see it is a V shape. Now, did Justin walk faster towards the lamp or away from the lamp? Explain. Now, this is the important part. You need to explain using concepts. Okay, everybody, I give you 1 minute, okay, to write down your answer in the chat function here. Okay, Ashraf said towards the lamp. The question says, did Justin walk faster, not slower, walk faster towards the lamp or away from the lamp? So your answer, you need to say either towards the lamp or away from the lamp. That's the first part. Then the second part, you must be able to explain. So please read the question very, very carefully. Okay, Farah says that towards as the decrease in shadow is faster than when Justin was walking away from the lamp. Okay. Danish, I can't tell between me and shadow cause towards the lamp, everybody has towards the lamp, okay. Away from the lamp is faster. Okay, Ashraf say away from the lamp. Towards the lamp. Okay, all of you are just writing either towards or away. Okay, can you explain? Okay, now let me share with you that the answer is faster. The answer is faster towards the lamp. Okay, towards the lamp, not away from the lamp. Ashraf, you mentioned away, right? So he is walking faster towards the lamp. Okay, importantly, can you explain why is it that he is walking faster towards the lamp? Okay, that's the important part. Which if you are not able to explain correctly, you get 0 marks. Okay, Tristan say when the length of the shadow is at 0, it means that Justin is below the lamp. So he took 3 seconds to walk to the lamp. 1, 2, 3. Again, he took 6 seconds to walk away from the lamp. Okay. Now, Tristan, let me ask you, how do you know it's 3 seconds? Right? It's not given. The unit says it's not given. Okay. Okay. It's I know what you're trying to say. Your idea is there, but you cannot put 3 seconds unless they tell you the units. So you can just say 3 units of time. Okay, 3 units, and this is, you can see here, 3 units of time, and this is 6 units. That means he took twice the amount of time to walk from Q to R compared to P to Q. Correct? Okay, Nadira says towards the lamp because the length of the shadow decreased more than when away from the lamp. Okay, most of you so far, your answers are not precise yet. Okay, Nadira almost there, but you are missing something very important. He walks faster, the decrease in the shadow took shorter time, increase. This is, Shami, this is physical science. The topic of light and shadow is physical science. Okay, Nuha said towards the lamp, when he's under the lamp, his length of the shadow is lesser. Okay, so let me share with you the answer. All right. So how do you explain? Okay, the answer is towards the lamp. Why? It takes a shorter time, okay, to walk the same distance, PQ, as compared to QR. Okay? Okay, the answer, the first part here is towards the lamp, and then explain why he takes a shorter time. Now, why a shorter time? You can see here, shorter time, right? 3 units to walk from P to Q. Right? And the same distance Q to R, he took 6 units, right? He took 6 units. Okay? So he takes a shorter time to walk the same distance. Okay, so you need to emphasize here that the distance is the same, PQ and QR, which is mentioned in the question. Okay? All right, yes. Shami said it involves maths. Science and maths, they are very interrelated. If you go to secondary school, you see that, especially on the topic of physics, there's lots of maths. Okay, so that's why maths is very important. You need to do well in maths. Okay, so you need to interpret the graph, and you learn maths. You learn graph in the topic of in maths. So it's very important that you must be able to interpret this correctly. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Is it okay? All right. So another hit question. Now this MCQ question very easy for you. I give you 1 minute to answer. Okay. Okay, containers in setup A, B, and C are of the same size and thickness, but made of different materials. So this is an experiment question, and you can see here, the change variable is different material, right? And everything else remains the same. And the containers are filled with the same volume of water at 100 degrees Celsius and left on the table. Okay. 4. Okay, those of you who say 4, can you explain why you choose 4 as the answer? Can you explain why you choose 4 as the answer? Sarah, why 4? Why not 1, 2, or 3? How do you come to a conclusion? Aris? How do you come to a conclusion? Or is it because your friend typed 4 that you also typed 4? Okay, can anybody explain why 4 is the answer? Okay, Ashraf say 3. Okay, Ashraf, can you explain why you say 3 is the answer? Wood is a proton heat, therefore it gains heat from the water the slowest. Okay. Now I'm going to teach you a shortcut. Do you want to learn shortcut or not? Okay, because in MCQ, right, you need to be fast, fast and accurate, right? Remember, you have about, to answer one question, you have about roughly about 90 seconds to answer the question correctly. Okay, so I'm going to teach you a method called, those of you who are in my class, I've already shared with you, we call this elimination method. Okay, elimination method. Heard that before? Oh yeah, Shami, I know. Oh yeah, is open your eye big. Okay, elimination method means you eliminate the obvious wrong answer. Now, just by looking at the 4 options, can anybody tell me, share with us, which options will you eliminate first? Okay, Farah say number 1, Mariam say number 1 and 2, Tristan 1 and 2. Okay, those who say 1 and 2 and 1, why? Why do you eliminate option 1 and 2 first? Just by one glance, you know that you need to eliminate option 1 and 2. Why? Anybody can tell me? Can share us? Okay, Sarah say no matter what, you will lose it. Okay, very good answer. Sarah, I think I know what you're trying to say. Okay, if you take a look at option 1 and 2, A and C, you can see A and C, right? A is the water in setup A and C is the water in setup C. They're trying to say that over time, right, the temperature remains the same at 100 degrees Celsius. The temperature remains the same at 100 degrees Celsius, which is obviously wrong, right? Why? Because at 100 degrees Celsius, when you left it on the table, remember the table is room temperature, right? Now this is 100, right? 100. And room temperature, let's say room temperature is 30 degrees Celsius. Okay? Now remember the concept of heat transfer. Heat always travels from a region of higher temperature to lower temperature. So both the water in all setup will lose heat, right? In setup A, setup B, and setup C, all 3 setup will lose heat, right? So it is not possible to have the temperature of the water remains the same, right? So straight away, with very little thinking, you must know that you eliminate option 1 and 2 already. So you can see option A is glass, number 2, now C is in wood, right? Even though glass and wood, they are relatively poor conductor of heat, but still water will lose heat, right? Water will still lose heat, right? Even though it is slow, but it will still lose heat. So this is not possible. Option 1 and option 2, you can straight away eliminate, okay? Now, then we are left with option 3 and option 4, right? Now, between option 3 and option 4, let's take a look at this setup, this 3 setup. So you can see that which is the best conductor of heat? All of us know that iron is the best conductor, right? So if iron is the best conductor of heat, so the water in setup B will lose heat the fastest, correct or not? Will lose heat the fastest. So this graph B here, right, is the greatest decrease in temperature, right? So it coincides with the setup B, iron, right? The greatest decrease in temperature. All 3 will lose it. All the water in the 3 setup will lose heat. However, in setup B, since iron is the best conductor of heat, water in setup B will lose it the fastest. So that's why the answer is number 4. All of you got that? Okay, so let me write for you the option, the reason. Okay, first, as what we have discussed, you eliminate option 1 and 2 because water in setup A and B will also lose heat. Doesn't matter if the container is made of glass or wood. So these are poor conductor, but water inside will still lose heat, but it will take a longer time to lose heat. So iron is the best conductor of heat, so it loses the greatest amount of heat and hence greatest decrease in temperature. So that's why the answer is number 4. Okay, everybody easy peasy? So this is MCQ, but the same question they can ask you in the open-ended question. So you must be able to answer precisely, all right, according to the concepts. Right here, the concept is about the concept of heat transfer. Right, heat can pass through material, and since iron is a best conductor of heat, the heat will pass through iron the fastest. Right, so when you have a container when it's made of iron, right, here it will lose it the fastest compared to the container which is made of glass and made of wood. Okay, guys? All right. So if this question comes out in the open-ended question, you must be able to explain accurately. Yeah. Okay. So I know it's not easy. Okay, but you need to remember. So the technique is that you must try to write down notes. So some student ask, teacher, how can I improve my open-ended question? Very simple. You don't need to do tons and tons of top school papers and so on. All you need to do is you review back your school files as well as your tuition file. Right, those questions that you get wrong, right, you cover your wrong answer and then you write again. Okay, you write again and then after that you check. Right, I'm sure you have done your corrections right in the past. So you write again and then you see whether you repeat your mistake or not. Okay, if you still don't remember, write it down on the notes in your notebook so that you remember how to answer this kind of question. This is the expected answer. Okay, so you just do again and again until you are proficient in answering the questions. The topics are, frankly, it's not that much. Not many topics. PSLE, MOE, they have reduced your syllabus. In the past, there are more syllabus. The previous syllabus, there are more topics, but they have cut down the topics, but the questions gets more challenging. Okay, so all you need to do is you need to review back your wrong answers, in the past wrong answers in your school files, school science file and your tuition science file, and then you rewrite your answer and then you remember how to answer. Okay? All right, let's take a look at the next question. Okay, the next question, I'm going to share with you, this is a past PSLE question, how to answer experiment question strategy. This is especially for the P5 students. Now, P6 students, I've emphasized again and again since the beginning of the year, how to approach experiment type question. Now, experiment type question is very common in the exams, in the PSLE, in the end of year exams, very, very, very common. Now, what do I mean by experiment question? Is that this is a typical experiment question where you have a setup, right? You have a setup and they present the data, right, in the form of a table or in the form of a graph, right? Just now we've seen the graph. Now here they represent in the form of table, okay? And when you see an experiment question, right, those of you in my P6 question, my P6 students, you will know the 5 steps that or the 6 steps that I share with you, right, on how to approach experiment question. Can anybody tell me what is the first thing that should come to your mind when you see experiment question? Anyone? Especially my P6 students? What is the first thing that should come to your mind that you should identify? Aim. Very good, right? First thing you need to find is the aim. What is the aim of the experiment? Now, aim is a little bit tricky. Sometimes they want to make life a little bit more difficult. They do not give you the aim. Now, what do? What you identify if aim is not given clearly? Okay, very good. Some of you mentioned in the chat, the change variable. Okay, any P5 student here, can you answer me? How many change variable can there be in one experiment? Any P5? How many change variable can there be in one experiment? There can only be one change variable. Very good. Now, why? why there can only be one change variable? Why not 2, 3, 4, 5? Any P5, this is only for the P5. P6, you must know this. P5 student, why must there be only one change variable? Any of the P5 students here can answer? Rehan, if not, the experiment will not be fair. Okay, very good. If not, it will not be a fair test, right? Remember, in an experiment, there can only be one change variable. Okay? If not, otherwise, if there's more than one change variable, it will not be a fair test. I give you a simple example. Your PSLE. Okay, all of you, no matter which school you are sitting for the exact same paper and at the same time, right? So the questions must be the same. So you cannot have different question for different school, otherwise it will not be a fair test. Okay? So remember, in an experiment, there can only be one change variable. Now let's take a look at this question. Now Zainal wanted to investigate which material was best at reflecting light. Now you can see here, this is the aim of the experiment, right? Which material, and you can see here, this is the change variable. Which material was best at reflecting light? Okay? Now you can see material P, Q, R, and S. This is the change variable. There are four types of variable, P, Q, R, and S. Okay, and how do they measure whether it can reflect light or not? How much light can be reflected? So Zainal shined the light from the torch onto material P and walked towards it. When he could see clearly the material, he stopped and measured distance R, distance X between the torch and the wall. Now, what can you tell me, what do we call this distance X? What do we call distance X? Anyone? Fixed variable? No. X is not a fixed variable. Dependent variable, yes, very good. Not a change variable. X, remember, change variable is the material, right? We have already decided, and there can only be one change variable. X is what we call the dependent variable or the result of the experiment. In some schools, your teacher used measured variable. Tristan, correct? Measured variable. Okay? So measured variable, dependent variable, result of the experiment, they are all the same. Meaning that in this particular experiment, the results that you collect, right, we call that the measured variable or the dependent variable. In this particular question, is the distance X. Okay? Now let's continue. Okay. So these are the 5 things that should come to your mind when you see any experiment question. I've taught this in my P5, my P6 class. P5, have you seen this secret formula before? P5 student, have you seen this secret formula before? No? Okay, no, good. Now you must know. These 5 questions should come to your mind when you see any experiment question. Okay? These 5 important steps. Number 1, you see any experiment question, first and foremost, identify the aim. Okay? Secondly, identify the constant variable and the change variable. Constant variable is also called the fixed variable. And change variable, remember, there can only be one change variable. Alright? Third, after you identify the change variable and the fixed variable, you must identify and analyze the results, right? So the result of the experiment is given in this table. Sometimes they give it in the form of a graph. Okay. Now, after you analyze the result, 4th thing that should come to your mind is you must identify what is the science concept they are trying to test you. Okay, so this is where you need to know all the science topic and the concepts by heart. If you forget, okay, or you cannot recall, then you cannot answer the question as well. All right, and then 5th, after you identify the science concept, science topic, you must be able to link the concept to the question. Okay, you must be able to identify, link the concept to the question, right? Now let's take a look here. Identify the aim, right? In the question, they say to investigate which material was best at reflecting light. The change variable, okay, it is given that it is a type of material. And the dependent variable is the distance between the torch and the wall, which is distance X. Now, constant variable is everything else, must be the same. Okay, one of it is the amount of light given out by the torch, or maybe you can say the type of torchlight, and the height of the material and the torchlight from the ground. So all these things must be fixed. right? And let's analyze the result. The result here, you can see material P, distance X is 290, distance Q is 330. So you can see here, Q, when they use material Q, distance X is the highest or the longest. Okay, so X is greatest with material Q, while X is lowest with material P, right? P is the lowest here, 290. So what is the topic tested here? Topic is on the topic of light, and the concept is light can be reflected. Okay, and the amount of light depends on the type of material which the light was reflected on, right? So from here you can identify and analyze the science concept. So how to link the concept and the question? So you can conclude that Q is the greatest reflector of light. Why? As it is able to reflect light to the furthest distance, right? From very far, from the furthest distance, you can see light already when you use material Q, right? So Q is the best reflector of light, right? Remember, you are comparing these four material, okay? All right, let's take a look at next question. So let's just do a bit of summary. So this is, I want to show you how to approach experiment question, especially the P5 student and P6 student, if you have forgotten also. When you see any experiment question, these 5 steps should come to your mind. Okay, these 5 steps, right? Before even you attempt to answer the question, and after some time, when you do again and again, these things should come automatically into your mind. Okay, number 1, if you see an experiment question, identify the aim. What is the aim? Secondly, what are the variables? What are the change variable? What is the fixed variable, right? And what's the dependent variable, the result of the experiment? Then third, identify the result of the experiment, right? Here, given in the form of table, sometimes given in the form of given in the form of graph, right? And then after that, the topic itself, and the concept. What concept they're testing you? Okay, and lastly, you must be able to link the concept to the question itself. Then you can answer any type of question. Okay, all right, class, ready? Okay, let's move on to the next topic. Okay, yeah. Okay, now next one, I want to show you how to answer another type of question, which is not application, which is not experiment question. We call this application question. Now, application question has been coming out in the exam more and more in the past years, especially in the P6. Many questions, up to 30% of the questions in the open-ended, it is application, meaning there's no experiment, there's no graph, there's no table, nothing, but they give you a day-to-day situation and they ask you to explain using scientific concept why this thing happened, right? This is one example of an application question. Yes, this is taken from past PSLE, yeah? Okay, so let me read for you, and once you're ready, you can type your answer in the chat function. The metal lid was fitted tightly onto an empty glass jar. Mary placed the lid in hot water. After a while, she found it easier to open the lid. Explain why. Okay, can you type your answer? Okay, I'll give you 1 more minute. Okay, let's see some of your answers. Metal lid expanded, causing the lid to be removed easily. Okay, Imran, wrong. The lid expanded. Okay, let's see some of your answers. Sufina said the lid expanded as it gained heat from the water. Also wrong, 0 marks. Nadira say metal is a good conductor of heat, so the metal lid gained heat and expanded. Also 0. Expand. Okay, all of you right. Expand, 0, 0, 0, 0. Okay, Mariam said the metal lid gain heat from the hot water faster than the glass jar as metal is better conductor heat. Mariam, very good. You know the answer. Okay, Mariam got the correct answer. Okay, let's see the answer from Mariam. Mariam says that the metal lid gain heat from the hot water faster than the glass jar. Okay, very good answer. So this is quite a tricky question. This is a past PSLE question. Okay, you can see this part here. Right now, most of you answer this way. You say that the metal lid gain heat from the hot water and expand. Okay. However, if you take note, if you observe, if you use the OYEP technique, those of you in my P6 class, you know what's OYEP technique. The P5, the P6 student don't tell the P5 what is OYEP technique. Okay, so if you look carefully here, see here, this is the metal and this is the glass, right? Now you say the metal lid gain heat and expand. Now about the glass jar. The glass jar also gain heat, right? So this is quite tricky because both the glass jar and the metal lid is in contact with the hot water. Okay, is in contact with the hot water. So it means that the glass jar also gain heat, the glass jar also expand, and the metal lid also expand. However, we know that metal is a better conductor of heat, right? So when metal is a better conductor of heat, even though glass also expand, but metal will expand more. So when metal expand more, so it will gain heat faster and it will expand faster. Okay, now let's take a look at the answer here. Now, if you see application question, okay, I'll share with you 4 steps. Okay, when you see any application question, those of you in my P6 class, you know what? The 4 steps, 4 secret steps. When you see an application question, step number 1, observe and list the key objects mentioned in the question, right? What are the key objects? The empty metal jar made of glass, the metal lid, which is a good conductor of heat, and we know that both metal and part of the glass are in the hot water, right? Both are in the hot water. Now, recall what topic is being tested. Is a heat, topic on heat, right? Primary 4, topic of heat, and the concept of expansion. Okay, and expansion you must know. Okay, what's the meaning of expansion, right? When a material gain heat, right, it will expand. When material loses heat, it will contract. So this is the scientific concept that you must know. If you forget, if you cannot recall, then you cannot answer this question. That's why I mean that you need to, those of you who are not able to remember easily or forget very fast, you must do a mind map to make sure that you remember all the concepts from P3 to P6 before your exams. Okay? After your exam, doesn't matter, you can forget about it. But, okay, I know some of my P6 students, they have forgotten oral already, right? Because they say after oral exam, cannot talk already. Anybody? You, they also, after oral PSLE, cannot talk. Later on, after maths exam, maths PSLE, forget about maths already. Okay, so I hope you are joking. Okay, nevertheless, let's proceed on. Okay, so the topic of heat, under the topic of expansion. So identify the science concept being tested. Okay, so we know that metal gains heat and expand when heated, and metal is a better conductor of heat. Hence, it will expand faster or expand more than glass. So how to link to the question? As metal is a better conductor of heat than glass. Now, remember, there is a comparison aspect here. You need to compare between glass and metal. Okay, why? Because both glass and metal is in the hot water, right? In some of the similar question, only the metal lid is in the hot water, but not the glass. But this particular question, both the glass and the metal lid, the glass jar and the metal lid is in hot water. So there's some form of comparison. Okay, so this is a tricky part. Right, so you can see it seems easy, but many students confident, but then you get 0 marks. Right, so you don't want that to happen to you. So as metal is a better conductor of heat, remember comparing here, then glass, the metal lid will gain heat and expand more than the glass jar, hence making it easier to remove the lid. Okay, class? Okay, very good. Let's take a look at the next question. Okay, we are left with just 5 more minutes. Then I'll go a little bit faster. We have quite a lot of topic. It's a few more questions to go through. Okay, let's take a look here. All right. Polly wants to remove water from the ground using a water pump. When it rains heavily, he uses the setup below, shown below, to turn on the water pump. State a property of rubber that allows the setup to work properly, and describe and explain how the water pump is turned on when it rains heavily. Okay? Danish, I purposely turn off. Why you want to see my face? For what? I want you all to concentrate on the question, not to see my face. Yeah. I think Danish, maybe he was away for the last 15 minutes. Suddenly he realized. Okay, can you all type the answer? A, state the property of rubber. B, describe and explain how the water pump is turned on when it rains heavily. This is an application question. Okay, this is the typical, you see this kind of question in your exam, confirm job one. Okay, PSLE, more and more questions, application question will come out in the PSLE, the trend for the past few years. So you need to be able to use the concept that you have learned and apply to the situation given to you. Okay, I give you 2 more minutes. Okay, part A, no problem. Rubber is an insulator. Nadira, you cannot say rubber is a poor conductor of electricity. Please do not confuse electricity and heat. Okay, you cannot say poor conductor. Poor conductor means electricity can still flow through. That means you are in trouble. If you wear rubber shoes, right, to protect yourself from electricity, then you say that electricity is a poor conductor, then you are in trouble, right? Okay, remember, electricity, you must say either is an insulator of electricity or conductor of electricity. Okay, heat, yes, heat, then you can say either is a poor conductor of heat or good conductor of heat, right? Electricity is either insulator or conductor. Please remember that. Okay, rubber insulator or electricity. Okay, correct. First part is part A. I think all of you got it right now. Okay, part B, I want you all to answer. Type your answer for part B. Describe and explain how the water pump is turned on when it rains heavily. I want everybody to participate. Please try. Wrong is okay, no problem. We're sharing. Okay, Bandit say water falls in G, making the wooden block float. So the metal sheet makes the circuit close, so water pump works and pumps the water. Okay, let's have a few more answers before I show you the answer. Danish Nabil, when it rains, the water will rise and the metal sheet will touch the metal rod and becomes a closed circuit and it will pump the water. Okay, Tristan say when enough water rains, when enough rainwater fills out the metal container, the plastic sheet on the wooden block comes to contact causing the closed circuit, hence it will flow. Okay, very good. I think you all get the idea there. Okay, let's analyze the question. Let me help you to analyze. So here, what happens here is that, okay, now, first thing you need to observe the key objects. So when you see any experiment question, you need to open your eyes very big and observe all the key objects. Number one, rubber. Right? Rubber, we know rubber is an insulator of electricity. Okay, so you see here, at this point of time, this is an open circuit, right? The circuit is open. So when there's an open circuit, you can see there's a battery here, right? And there's water pump. So when there's an open circuit, the pump will not work, right? So when it doesn't rain, the pump will not work, right? Okay. And there's a hole here, hole G, right? Okay, so and the water pump connected to the circuit. So when it rains heavily, the water will enter through here, right? When the water enter, and this wooden block with a plastic, with a metal sheet on top, it will rise. It will rise. When it reaches here, right? Since metal is a conductor of electricity, it will form a closed circuit. Okay, it will form a closed circuit. So you can see here, closed circuit. Right, it form a closed circuit. So what happened when they close circuit? Okay, it will turn on the water pump. Okay, so I repeat, when it rains heavily, more water enters through G, causing the metal sheet to move up and come in contact with the two metal rod, right? As the metal sheet is a conductor of electricity, right? This metal sheet is conductor of electricity, it will close the circuit or form a closed circuit, and hence the water pump will work, and then it will pump out the water. Okay, can class? Easy, yeah? Okay, let's move on to the next topic. Okay, now this is the topic of human transport system, or the circulatory system. Right, this is a P5 topic. Again, this topic is very common. It always comes out in the PSLE, but different variation. Okay. All right, different variation. Okay, which two arrows are not drawn correctly? This one very easy. This one very easy. Can you type your answer inside in the chat function? Some of you say D, some of you say B and C. Okay, can you explain? Those of you, whatever answer you put, can you explain in the chat function here? Important to explain. Okay, can you write down your explanation? Farah past 7. Okay, we have a few more questions. Okay, maybe this one the last question. Then we will take a break. Later on for the P6, at 8 o'clock we have another session. Okay, only P6. P5 don't be busybody because it will be P6 topic. Okay, because then you will be totally lost. All right. Okay, let's take a look here. Now the answer is B and C. Very good. Most of you got the correct answer. B and C. Why? Now let's analyze. In this question, usually what they ask you is about whether the blood is rich in oxygen or poor in oxygen. Okay, from the lungs, right? The blood that comes from the lungs will always be rich in oxygen, right? Because that's where you breathe in, right? You have air here. This will be rich in oxygen. So the air, oxygenated blood will go from lungs to the heart and then to the legs. Now this is where respiration takes place, and then it will go back to the heart and it will be pumped out, right? So H will be poor in oxygen, F and G will be rich in oxygen, right? Okay, and from the heart to the head to the top part also, this will be rich in oxygen. Coming back down, this will be poor in oxygen, right? When it goes to the lungs, it will be poor in oxygen, and then the carbon dioxide will be removed. Okay, and then the cycle continues. So this B and C is wrong, because the blood, oxygenated blood, does not go directly from the lungs to the upper part of the body, okay, or to the head and arms, but instead it will go through the heart first. So the heart is an important organ in the body, which is a major part of the circulatory system. Okay, easy peasy. Can okay. I think I'll stop here. Okay, the past, maybe I'll give you all a few more minutes for Q&A. Anybody have any specific question?